In this world, most men don't fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they are too soft, too dependent on approval, too afraid of pain, of loss, of standing alone. They live like prey in an era ruled by hunters. And Machiavelli made it clear, anyone who does not control himself will be controlled by others. If you're tired of the weak version of yourself, if you can feel a fierce instinct inside you demanding to rise, then this is the video meant for you. Because today, you're stepping into 10 ruthless rules, the very principles Machiavelli used to forge some of the most feared leaders in history, and you will turn them into weapons to rebuild yourself. You'll learn how to cut away your weakness, command your emotions, stay silent like a hidden blade, and become the strongest version of yourself, one you never believed you could be. If you're ready to let the old version die so the powerful one can rise, keep watching. Because once you understand these 10 vows, you will never look at your life the same way again. Number 1. Stop living like the weak. Most men spend their entire lives in a passive state. They don't truly choose their own path. They merely react to whatever happens. When work becomes stressful, they retreat. When someone disrespects them, they stay silent and endure. When faced with a challenge, they look for shortcuts. When confronted with pain, they run. This avoidance creates an invisible cage. They become prey in their own lives. They don't make mistakes because they fought. They make mistakes because they never dared to fight. A man who lives like prey always has 3 traits. He always seeks comfort. He always avoids conflict and pain. He always looks for approval from others. These 3 things may sound harmless, but in reality they suffocate your inner strength. When you prioritize comfort over progress, even the smallest pain can push you backward. When you avoid conflict, you never learn to protect your boundaries. When you live to please others, you lose your own voice. Then one day, when adulthood starts to weigh down on them, they suddenly realize that life shows no mercy to the weak. No one respects a man who doesn't respect himself. No one listens to someone who's too afraid to speak. Opportunities never arrive for those who only wait. And life is cruel, not because it hates them, but because they never built the strength to face it. But if you're reading these words, it means you don't want to live like that anymore. You've realized something is wrong. You can feel a part of you calling for change, a part that wants to live stronger, more decisive, more intentional. That is the first sign of transformation. To become the strongest version of yourself, you don't just need to change your habits, you need to change the way you see yourself. And the first step is to stop living like prey. This doesn't mean becoming ruthless toward others. It means being brutally honest and disciplined with yourself. Stop making excuses. Stop running away. Stop living just to keep others pleased. Ask yourself, what am I sacrificing just to be liked? How many times have I stayed silent when I needed to speak? How many times have I abandoned what I wanted because I hear a difficulty? Am I truly living, or am I merely trying to survive? The stronger version of you cannot appear if you keep clinging to the weaker one. To step into a new chapter, you must be willing to abandon the old one, without hesitation, without attachment, without stepping back. Change doesn't start with action, it starts with a decision. I will not live as the weak man for even one more day. And when you dare to say that, and dare to live by it, you stop following life, and you begin leading it. And that is the true beginning of power. Number 2, forge cold focus. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they cannot stay focused long enough on the one thing that matters most. They wake up each day intending to change their lives, yet their energy is dragged away by 100 small distractions. Their phone, social media, messages, other people's business, meaningless entertainment, unstable emotions. It's not because they are incapable, it's because they've never learned to protect their focus, the most valuable asset of the strong. In today's world, focus is power. You don't have to be the smartest person in the room, you don't have to have the most resources, but if you are the least distracted, you will surpass the majority. Cold focus is the ability to cut off everything that does not serve your goal. No hesitation, no negotiation. Look at your daily life. How many times have you planned to do something important, but you just checked your phone for a moment, and suddenly an hour disappeared? How many times have you been working, yet your mind wandered to pointless things? Online drama, sensational news, someone's comment? How many times have you wasted an entire afternoon talking about nothing or watching things that didn't move you forward even an inch? You don't lack time. You lack cold focus. Cold focus has 3 elements. Cut away. Without mercy, focus is not trying harder to pay attention. Focus is the art of elimination. Everything you allow into your life demands a price. Your time, your energy, your mental clarity. Therefore, you must learn to cut away the things that weaken you, relationships that drag you down, activities that stall your progress, habits that steal your time, conversations that scatter your mind, goals that are not truly yours. It's not that you can't enjoy entertainment or rest, but you must distinguish clearly between what is temporarily pleasant and what is genuinely valuable. 2. Protect your attention. Like treasure. Every minute you let someone steal your attention is a minute you lose the chance to build your life. Treat your focus as an asset that must be guarded. Turn off unnecessary notifications. Create a clean, minimalist workspace. Set time limits on addictive activities. Learn to say no to pointless invitations. Establish hours in your day dedicated solely to your most important tasks. You cannot control the world, but you can control the environment you operate in. 3. Don't let emotions drag you away. Cold focus means you don't let emotions dictate your direction. You can feel disappointed, sad, angry, but you do not let those feelings push you off the path you've chosen. A person with cold focus has one frightening trait. They are not easily shaken. Not because they are numb, but because they know what matters more than temporary emotion: action. Your strength doesn't lie in how many things you do, but in your ability to pour your entire energy into the one thing that matters most and pursue it to the end. When you reach that state, you become a force that cannot be scattered, cannot be manipulated, cannot be stopped. That is the law of cold focus, the sharpest blade you possess to forge the strongest version of yourself. Number 3. Master your emotions. Most human failures don't come from a lack of intelligence or talent. They come from the inability to control their emotions. Emotion is the most powerful force inside each of us. It can push us forward, or it can destroy everything in a single moment. And most men lose their power because they let emotion control them, instead of learning to control emotion. The weak let their emotions dictate their actions. When they're angry, they explode. When they're bedridden, they quit. When they're discouraged, they retreat. When they're they crawl back to toxic relationships. They become slaves to their internal storms. Every time someone provokes them or hurts them, they react instantly, and in those reactions, they expose their weaknesses. Others see that loss of control and can manipulate them with ease. But the strong are different. The strong never try to kill their emotions, nor do they pretend they feel nothing. Yet the strong feel everything, but they choose the right moment and the right way to express it. What makes a man intimidating is not his explosions, but his ability to stay calm in the middle of chaos. Imagine two men. One erupts at every insult, argues with raised voices, loses control with every word. The other remains silent, his eyes steady, unmoved by the emotional swings of the person in front of him. Ask yourself, who is stronger? Not the one shouting, but the one who remains composed. That composure is power. Mastering your emotions has 3 levels. 1. Understand your emotions. Instead of fighting them, many people treat emotions like the enemy. They try to push them down and then force themselves to look cold. But suppression isn't strength, it's avoidance. To master emotion, you must understand it. Why am I angry? What exactly is making me afraid? What is my sadness trying to tell me? Emotion is information. When you understand it, it no longer controls you. 2. Control your reaction. Don't react immediately. The uncontrolled react the moment emotion rises. Those who master themselves manage their reactions through 3 steps. Pause. Freeze for a few seconds to avoid acting on instinct. Observe. Notice what the emotion is communicating. Choose. Select the response that serves your long-term goals. What you decide to do in the heat of emotion, that is the mark of true strength. 3. Turn emotion into fuel. Emotion isn't meant to be buried. It's meant to be transformed. Anger can become relentless discipline. Fear can become meticulous preparation. Sadness can become depth and empathy. The weak are destroyed by emotion. The strong use emotion to evolve. When you master your emotions, you become unpredictable, untouchable, unmanipulable. No one can push a button to make you react the way they want. You hold power in every conversation, every conflict, every challenge. You are no longer the victim of emotion. You become the one who commands the game. Mastering emotion is not a simple path. It demands daily training. But once you achieve it, you step into an entirely different state, self-governed, unwavering, and unbreakable from within. And that is the foundation of a truly powerful man. Number 4. Ruthless discipline. If there is one factor that separates the strong from the weak more clearly than anything else, it is discipline. Talent matters. Luck has value. Environment has influence. But all of those things become meaningless without discipline to guide them. A man without discipline is like a warrior holding a weapon he has no idea how to use. Massive potential, but incapable of creating real power. Discipline is ruthless because it demands sacrifice. It requires you to do the things you don't like, at the exact moment you don't want to do them, in order to build the person you desire to become. It doesn't care about your mood, your emotions, or your excuses. It cares about one thing: do you do the work or not? Most of us don't fail because the task is too difficult. We fail because we quit too early. We take one step back, then 2. Then give up entirely. And the most common excuse is, "I'm not motivated." But the truth is this: every person who has achieved the extraordinary understands a simple principle. Motivation is just emotion. Discipline is power. Discipline is the engine that pushes you past 90% of people. To make it clear, look at 2 men. One works only when he feels inspired. The other works even when he's bored, tired, lazy, or discouraged. The first man has moments of brilliance, flashes of intensity, and then he fades. The second man doesn't explode, he accumulates. He persists. He continues. And because of that, he becomes unstoppable. Discipline turns him into a steady, relentless force, a kind of strength no temporary emotion can ever match. So what makes discipline truly ruthless? It's the fact that it forces you to eliminate your own escape routes. Discipline is ruthless because it demands you wake up when you'd rather sleep. It pushes you to train when your body wants rest. It forces you to focus when your mind wants to wander. It makes you finish the work when you'd rather indulge yourself. It has you say no to what feels good now and yes to what pays off later. It doesn't allow you to live as someone who is easy on himself. Because discipline understands that softness is the seed of mediocrity. Discipline is not just action. It is identity. Disciplined people don't ask, should I do this? Do I feel ready today? Is there an easier way? They ask only one question. What must I complete today? Discipline is the deep commitment you make to yourself. No matter what happens, I move forward. Discipline makes you into someone you respect. One of the greatest sources of inner strength is the ability to look in the mirror and say, I keep my promises to myself. And people without discipline always feel empty, insecure, weak, not because they lack talent, but because they repeatedly break their own word. In contrast, disciplined people accumulate small victories every single day. Every time they beat laziness, they grow stronger. Every time they act correctly, even when they feel wrong, they become more resilient. Every time they refuse to sink into their impulses, they add another brick to the fortress of their character. Discipline is true freedom. Many believe discipline makes life rigid or restricted. That is a misunderstanding. Discipline does not take freedom away, it creates freedom. Discipline gives you freedom from procrastination, freedom from impulsive emotion, freedom from destructive habits, freedom from guilt and disappointment in yourself. When you have discipline, you control your life instead of your life controlling you. Number 5, the strategy of detachment. On the path to becoming the strongest version of yourself, there is one rule most people never learn. True power only appears when you know how to detach. Detachment is not apathy, numbness, or being cold toward life. Detachment is the ability to keep your power, not give it away to any person, circumstance, or temporary emotion. Most of us lose our power because we cling too tightly to things that were never meant to hold us up. We cling to praise to feel valuable. We cling to affection to feel whole. We cling to attention to feel important. But the ruthless truth is this: whatever you cling to too much becomes your weakness. All someone has to do is pull back their attention, stay silent for a moment, or change their tone, and you fall into insecurity. A message not answered fast enough makes you anxious. A criticism fractures your confidence. A rejection throws you off course. That is not love, not connection. It is dependence. And dependence always comes with the fear of loss. What is detachment? Detachment is the state in which you can love someone without losing yourself. You can care about a goal without destroying yourself when you fail. You can enjoy pleasure without relying on it to feel alive. You can give without needing anything in return. Detachment means, I choose this, but it does not own me. Why is detachment so important? because every excessive emotional attachment makes you easy to manipulate. When you fear losing someone, you tolerate disrespect. When you crave praise, you sacrifice your boundaries. When you cling to results, delays discourage you. When you cling to stability, you avoid necessary change. People may not intend to control you, but your own emotions tie you down. You unintentionally allow the outside world to dictate your value and mental state. Detachment is how you reclaim that power. Detachment is not numbness, it is clarity. Detached people feel everything, but they don't let those feelings distort reality. They don't excuse those who hurt them. They don't cling to what is clearly no longer good. They don't hold on to blind hope just to avoid loneliness. They don't lie to themselves about the nature of a relationship or situation. When your mind is detached, you see things as they are. No color, no illusions, no warped expectations. Detachment creates inner strength. When you detach, you become unpredictable, unshakable, difficult to control. You no longer react impulsively. You are no longer chained by the fear of losing something. You no longer expect others to fill your internal void. Detachment transforms you from someone who needs validation into someone who supports himself. It is a form of power that is deep, quiet, and undeniably real. Detachment is the foundation of freedom. Freedom is not about needing no one. And freedom is not being emotionally controlled by anyone. You can love deeply without begging. You can connect strongly without losing your identity. You can enjoy life without being dependent on anything. When you reach this state, you don't just become stronger. You become someone the world cannot easily shake. And that is the foundation that carries you toward the strongest version of yourself. Number 6, the law of patience and timing. In the journey of self-development, one of the most powerful, yet most difficult skills to master is patience. Not the passive, helpless kind of patience, but the active, strategic, calculated patience of a tactician. The weak react immediately. The strong observe, analyze, wait for the moment, then strike once, with precision and finality. Most people fail because they rush. They want results now. They want praise now. They want progress now. And when those things don't appear instantly, they lose motivation, quit, or wander off course. This impatience doesn't just cause mistakes, it exposes their weaknesses to everyone around them. In contrast, those with lasting power all share one trait: they know how to wait. They don't chase every tiny opportunity. They don't jump into every battle. They don't speak every thought that crosses their mind. They accumulate, prepare, observe, then unleash at the perfect moment. And that timing makes their strength terrifying. Patience is not delay, it is preparation. Many misunderstand patience as sitting still and hoping good things happen. That's not patience, that's helplessness. Real patience is when you continue working, improving yourself, and training every day, but without being haunted by the thought, "I must succeed immediately." You don't let time pressure fog your judgment. You understand that every solid process requires time. Strength needs time to be built. Confidence needs time to grow. Big results need time to mature. And a new version of you needs time to form. Patience is trust in the process, not waiting in despair. Timing is the sharpest weapon. One strike at the right moment is stronger than 100 reckless blows. One precise decision at the perfect time can change your entire life. You can work hard, but if you act at the wrong moment, you waste your efforts. You can be incredibly talented, But if you reveal yourself too early, you become a target. You can have a huge opportunity, but if you rush before you're ready, you harm yourself. The patient person is not lacking confidence. He simply understands that speed matters, but timing matters more. Silence and waiting make you stronger. A person who does not react instantly becomes unpredictable. Others don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you'll do. They don't know how prepared you are. That silence creates pressure, sometimes stronger than any threat or reaction. In conflict, the one who speaks first often loses advantage. In negotiation, the one who loses composure loses the game. In relationships, the one who rushes is the one taken for granted. Patience makes you someone others must tread carefully around. Patience protects you from traps and mistakes. Your greatest enemy is not always other people. Sometimes it is your own impatience. Impatience makes you rush into battles you're not ready for. Answer too quickly when you don't understand the situation. Hurt others before thinking, or even abandon something just because it hasn't given you immediate results. The patient person always sees the bigger picture. He doesn't let a temporary emotion destroy a long-term plan. Patience makes you hard to defeat. When you master timing, you stop reacting randomly. You act with purpose. You aren't provoked by the temporary or the trivial. You don't get pulled into meaningless battles. You choose only the moments that matter, and when you choose to act, you act with certainty, power, and complete control. That is the nature of the strong, not pushed by the world, but the one who chooses the moment to lead it. Number 7, the power of silence. If there is one weapon most people underestimate, it is silence. In a world where everyone wants to speak, express, and prove themselves, the person who masters silence becomes rare, and that rarity creates power. Silence is not merely the absence of speech, it is the art of controlling information, emotion, and perception. And on the path to becoming the strongest version of yourself, silence is one of the most essential skills you must learn. Many people destroy themselves not because they are weak, but because they speak too much. They reveal their thoughts, plans, fears, weaknesses, goals, emotions, all in exchange for attention or validation. But when they talk too much, they hand others the map straight to their vulnerabilities. Every careless word becomes a weapon that can be used against them later. The strong operate differently. They never reveal everything. They speak little, but observe much. They listen, note, analyze, and speak only what is necessary at the right moment, in the right dose. This restraint makes them unpredictable, unreadable, and therefore difficult to hama. Silence creates a powerful presence. Imagine two people in an argument. One talks continuously, explains, justifies, tries desperately to convince. The other stands tall, silent, eyes calm. Who appears stronger? Always the silent one. Silence creates space. Space creates pressure. Pressure makes others reveal more than they intended. This is why in negotiations, the one who understands silence always has the advantage. They don't rush to fill the gap with words. They let others expose themselves. Silence protects you from mistakes. When emotions rise, words are the first thing you will regret. Sometimes a single uncontrolled sentence can destroy relationships, plans, or the reputation you've built over years. But if you know how to stay silent, you don't react impulsively, you don't speak beyond your intention, you don't expose your loss of control, you avoid unnecessary misunderstandings. Silence buys you time. And time gives you clarity. Silence makes you hard to manipulate. Many people try to control you through words. They provoke, mock, and attempt to trigger reactions. But if you remain silent, they don't know what you think. They cannot detect your weakness. They cannot predict your reactions. That uncertainty makes them cautious. Remember, the easily provoked are the easily controlled. The silent are the ones no one can reach. Silence is not weakness, it is control. A silent person is not silent because they have nothing to say. They are silent because they don't need to say it. They don't need to explain to gain approval. They don't need to complain to receive sympathy. They don't need to brag to prove themselves. They don't need to argue to be right. Their silence comes from inner fullness. Silence gives your words weight. When you speak less, every word matters. When you choose your words carefully, people listen more. When you speak only when necessary, your words carry power. You don't need to shout to influence. You only need to speak at the right moment, and the effect is far stronger. Silence is a sign of inner maturity. The mature do not seek attention through speech. They influence through presence, through action, through character. And that character is built through silence, listening before responding, observing before acting, thinking before deciding. When you master silence, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, no one can shake you. Number 8, become feared and respected. In life, there are many forms of power: physical strength, financial strength, intellectual strength. But the two oldest and most influential forms of power are fear and respect. These cannot be bought, faked, or borrowed. They come from how you live, how you act, and how you treat yourself as well as the world around you. The problem is that most people misunderstand these concepts. They seek to be liked. They want compliments. They want to please everyone around them. But being liked is the most fragile currency in existence. People like you today and forget you tomorrow. People like you when you serve their needs and turn on you when you don't. Being liked is not power. Being respected is power. And when respect is paired with a healthy sense of fear, you become someone who cannot be dismissed. Fear is not violence, it is boundaries. Many misunderstand making others fear you as being aggressive, cruel, or threatening. That is childish thinking. Fear, in the context of personal power, is not about making people tremble. It is about letting them know you have boundaries, and crossing those boundaries carries consequences. People don't fear you because you're violent. They fear you because they know you don't tolerate disrespect. A person with strong boundaries makes others cautious. A person who knows how to say no forces the world to treat them seriously. A person who can walk away when disrespected creates balance in every relationship. This is the kind of fear the strong generate. Respect comes from discipline and backbone. No one respects someone who lives carelessly. No one respects someone who changes direction at every emotion. No one respects someone who chases approval. Respect is earned through stability in your actions, consistency in your principles, calmness in conflict, composure in speech, self-control in emotion, persistence in your goals. When you live aligned with your values, people may not like you, but they cannot look down on you. When fear and respect combine, you become difficult to challenge. If people only fear you, they will rebel when given the chance. If people only respect you, they might mistake your kindness for weakness. But when these two elements are balanced, you become someone who cannot be easily crossed, cannot be easily manipulated, cannot be underestimated, cannot be exploited. You don't need to raise your voice to assert yourself. You don't need threats to maintain your position. You only need to stand firm in who you are. How to build fear and respect in a healthy way. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Self-respect is born here, and others feel it. Establish clear boundaries. Do not negotiate with disrespect. Remain calm, avoid impulsive reactions. The unpredictable are always taken seriously. Speak less, do more. Your results speak louder than any words. Know when to walk away. Those willing to walk away are the ones who cannot be controlled. True power is not aggression, it is authority. Your authority comes from quiet confidence, inner steadiness, and the attitude of, I respect you, but you will respect me as well. It is the kind of presence that makes people automatically adjust their behavior around you, not because they fear harm, but because they know you are someone who cannot be disregarded. Number 9, live for legacy. Not comfort. In life, there are two types of people: those who live merely to exist, and those who live to leave a mark. Most people are swept away by routines, responsibilities, and societal expectations, and slowly forget to ask the most important question. When I leave this world, what will remain? Most men go through life never thinking about legacy. They live for immediate comfort. They choose the easy path, the safe option, the temporary rewards. Attention, short-term pleasure, the approval of others. They mistake this for happiness, when in reality, it is disappearance. Men like this die twice, once when their body stops, and once when no one remembers their name. In contrast, those who live with a legacy mindset understand that life is not just about today. It is about the mark they leave behind. Legacy isn't fame, legacy is weight. It is the real part of you that remains in this world long after you're gone. Legacy is not about being liked. It is about lasting presence. Legacy is not measured by how many people like you. The crowd changes faster than you think. They cheer today, forget tomorrow. They adore you when you serve their interests and abandon you when you don't. But legacy outlives time. It is the story others tell about you, the values you left behind, the habits you maintained, the systems you built, all the things that continue to exist long after you disappear. The strong do not strive to be liked, they strive to be remembered. Legacy is built through repeated actions, not one grand moment. Many people think legacy is created by a single big achievement or a dramatic event. It's not. Legacy is formed through what you do every day, the discipline you uphold, the persistence you show, the principles you protect, the values you refuse to abandon, the promises you keep, the maturity you gain through every trial. Every day is a brick. Every decision is a carving. Every action is a step forward. Legacy is not built in a moment. It is built across a lifetime. Pain is the architect of legacy. No one builds a legacy through ease. Those who leave a real mark walk through pain, failure, rejection, and heartbreak. It is their ability to rise again that makes them irreplaceable. When you suffer but continue forward, you carve into life a declaration. I cannot be crushed. That pain, when confronted correctly, becomes part of the story you leave behind, and stories always outlive people. Legacy requires sacrifice. To build a legacy, you must give up the things that keep you ordinary, habits of procrastination, excessive comfort, relationships that are beneath your standards, fear of judgment, goals that are too small to matter. Legacy does not belong to those who fear sacrifice. Legacy belongs to those who understand that a life with weight always comes with a price. Legacy is how you turn time into an ally. Time can erode everything, every reputation, every achievement, every glittering moment. But it can also engrave what is worthy. If you live small, time will erase you. If you live with weight, time will remember you. The final question for yourself: what kind of person do you want to be? Someone remembered for what they built, or someone forgotten for what they never dared to do? Legacy is not something that appears when you grow old. Legacy begins with what you do today, with the way you think, act. If you live for legacy, you do not just live one life. You leave a mark that time cannot erase. Number 10. Become untouchable. Every journey of personal transformation begins with awareness and ends with rebirth. If the previous 9 rules were the bricks of the foundation, then this final rule is the gateway. The moment you abandon the old version of yourself and step into the strongest version you can possibly become. Transformation is not a small change. It is an inner revolution, a moment where you look at yourself and decide that the old habits, the old fears, the old ways of thinking, all of them must end. Like a warrior preparing for the greatest battle of his life, you must strip off the torn, outdated armor and put on a new one. 1. The death of the weak self. No rebirth happens without an ending. To step into the strongest version of yourself, you must look directly at your weaknesses, without excuses, without denial, without running away. Everything that ever held you back is there. Procrastination, fear of judgment, dependence on compliments, avoidance of challenge, the habit of choosing comfort, emotional impulsiveness, the fear of failure. These pieces form the weak ego, the version of you that must die. Not through hatred, but through release. You put it down because it no longer serves you. This is not cruelty. This is maturity. 2. Rebirth. Build the mind as a fortress. Once the weak parts have been cleared, you begin to build a new structure, stronger, sharper, and more unshakable. Your mind becomes a fortress, with walls made of unwavering discipline, cold focus, enlightened detachment, mastery of emotion, the calmness of silence, the wisdom of timing, the authority of respect and boundaries. Every right action, every wise choice, every moment you overcome your weaker impulses, that is a stone added to your fortress. The fortress is not built to shut out the world, but to protect the powerful self rising within you. 3. From prey to one who directs life. When you are reborn, something fundamental changes. You no longer react to life, you command it. The old self lived on hope. Hope things would get better. Hope people would treat you well. Hope luck would appear. The new self acts, sees opportunity and prepares, faces difficulty and advances, does not wait, creates the path. This is the essence of transformation. You stop following life and you start leading it. 4. Ownership of your destiny. A high sign of maturity is understanding that no one is coming to save you. There is no savior. There is no miracle. But you have something far stronger, the ability to build the life you desire. When you step into your strongest form, you finally understand. Your effort builds your future. Your discipline determines your stature. Your choices open or close your doors. and your life is your own creation. The weak blame fate. The strong shape it. 5. Inner untouchability. The final transformation does not make you someone who cannot be hurt. The world can still cause pain. People can still disappoint you. Life can still test you. But here is what changes. Nothing can break you from within. You no longer collapse under rejection, failure, or loss. You stand firm as a force rooted in your own soul. That is true untouchability. Transformation is not a moment, it is a vow. From today onward, I do not return to who I once was. When you truly live by that vow, your life begins to shift in ways no one can predict. And that is when you become something the world cannot ignore. A strong, aware, calm, self-governing human being, completely in command of your own destiny. You have now walked through all 10 ruthless rules, rules not meant for the weak, but for those courageous enough to face themselves and refuse to live one more day in mediocrity. Machiavelli once said, "A man who cannot rule himself cannot rule anything at all." And now, you hold the strategies to rule yourself, your emotions, your timing, your destiny. But power does not come from understanding. It comes from action. From today, you must choose. Return to the old path, where the world leads you, or step onto the new path, where you lead yourself. Remember, discipline forges you. Silence protects you. Detachment frees you. Patience sharpens you. And legacy is what forces time to remember your name. If you are ready to destroy the weak ego and build your untouchable self, let your actions from today prove it. Don't just watch the video. Become the strongest version of yourself, starting now.